And there's your kicking crocodile. This technique is called kicking lion. Alan's going to come into a downward facing lion pose. Good. Now, Alan's going to take the right leg. He's going to extend it through. Something very important about this I want to note right away is that his pivot foot, this foot has to pivot, which is his base foot, but it has to pivot in order to allow the hips to roll through. So let's keep our eye on this for a moment. Come back, Al. Notice what's happening here, and again, and again, and one more time. So this is very important to keep yourself aware of as you're moving through this technique. Now, the kick itself, notice that his foot is in a flex position. So if he makes contact with the leg, his foot doesn't slip off. If his foot's turned up, it'll slip off my leg. So he keeps it tilted under to make nice contact. His pelvis is very close to the floor because if he lifts his pelvis up, he doesn't have much base. It's easy to knock down. So what's important is that he keeps his pelvis low. He's very strong there. Okay, he'll take that leg back through and then back again to this side. So Alan uses his foot to make nice contact here to basically, this is a leg check. So as I'm moving in, Alan uses that to stop me. He shoots back to down facing lion, spins around, and then he's got, again, his opponent on this side. Swing back through. Now, make it dance a little bit, Alan. Notice he flows from side to side. Pick up the pace. Good. Good. Flow. Flow. Nice. It's really controlled movement. Nice. Now rest. Excellent. Excellent. So what's important here with Alan, go ahead and take it down. What's important here with Alan is that he's really concentrating on good alignment, good technique, and control of the movement. He's not just kicking wildly through side to side. It's very important. Focus on alignment, focus on technique, focus on quality of movement. You want to really learn to move your body with control. So that's kicking lion. This technique is called knee strike. Emily's going to step into a fudodachi, or fighting stance. You'll notice in this stance that the feet are visible to you as the camera, or you as the audience. You can see both her back foot and her front foot. If she steps her back foot behind her, she's in a straddle stance. We like to work our techniques out from this immovable or fudodachi stance, which is the foot is a little offline in the back so that the pelvis is a little bit more towards your opponent, as opposed to completely being externally rotated away from. So now from here, she's going to rotate this back heel. This is our second position. Our first position is here. Our second position is here. This is called Zenkutsudachi, or forward-facing stance. Now her back heel is working its way into the floor, nice and strong, and she keeps his foot solid. So as she moves his back foot back and forth, you see there's no rotation happening here. Good. Now one more time. So now when she rotates on this third position, this heel does rotate and allow the pelvis to open up. So she's going to draw this knee up as she comes through, and notice how this heel, let's do that again. I'm going to hold, here, use my arm for stability. Now notice on this next rotation as this base heel rotates towards target, or towards you as the camera. Good. Taking it back. Good, and one more time. She's in 1, she's in 2, now she's in 3, chambered knee. Look at the demi point, the nice clean. She's tucked real tight. Let me turn you around, hop around slightly. Now, notice the tight chambering she has here. If this leg was loose, it wouldn't, there's a reason we're looking for that. The tighter that chamber is, it's almost like pulling a rubber band back, so it's got more energy, you know, as we release it. So she wants this tight, so when she extends for a front kick, it fires out. Let's do it quicker. Quick, quick. There you go. Okay, step it down. Okay, let's go ahead and demonstrate that knee strike full speed. Good. Good, a lot of good control there. A little quicker. There it is. Now gain forward, come on, step forward with it. There you go. Step back one more time. There it is, nice. Draw in, pull in as you do it. There you go. Notice how she keeps her hands up the whole time. She never drops her hands by her side. This would be the wrong way to do this technique. right, leaving her head wide open. So she keeps her knees up in case this happens. So she's always protecting her head. All right, there's your knee strike. This technique is called Komodo Dragon. We're going to start with Alan on his belly. Good. He's going to bring his knee to the outside of his elbow. Okay, let's go ahead and get our toes under us, Al. Go ahead and lift up. Good. Now, as you can see right now, he's completely off of the floor. He's got a pretty good strong base here. Let's go ahead and lay it back down one more time. Let's take this hand further forward. What we're trying to do is create in the body a proper balance and alignment. So because this leg is extended back, we're going to extend this hand a little bit more forward. Because this foot is drawn in, we're going to draw this hand in a little bit forward. So it creates almost a sideways push-up. If you've ever wanted to do a one-arm push-up, this is exactly the way that you would begin cultivating the kind of strength that you would need for that, because this causes, go ahead and come up off the ground. This causes, when Al lowers down, it causes a major shift into this particular shoulder. It's almost like he's doing a one-arm push-up with this arm. Okay, relax for a sec. Good. So now, here's the tricky part, and this is what takes you back to your early days of crawling on the ground. You've got to switch your feet out and your hands opposite arm, opposite leg. That's the tough part. So what we're going to do is we're going to move opposite arm, opposite leg. And in this particular case, as this leg, which is drawn in, extends out, this hand is going to draw in. So let's do it one time. Keep your eye on these two limbs, okay? Good. So you notice that now as this left leg extends out, this right arm will come in and contract in. Okay? So basically he's going opposite arm, opposite leg through the whole exercise. And he's staying in place and he's switching it out. It doesn't have to be dramatic. You can do this pretty laid back. Go ahead and do it a few times, just nice and soft. Now, make it more dramatic. And you can see, okay, rest. So you can see how much energy you can vacillate between really, really working here and taking it easy and doing a little lighter, softer exchange. This is an accessible technique for most people. And if it's really, really super tough for you, a great modification might be staying low and letting your knees slide across the floor. Let's demonstrate that, Al. Great. Now, this wouldn't be fun on carpet. But if you've got a hardwood floor, you're going to be better off. So this is basically the way you might modify a technique such as Komodo Dragon. Another modification, if you don't have access to floors without a carpet on them, might be to simply lift up, step one arm, one limb at a time, exchanging, lowering down, and working that push-up. Might not look like the funnest way to do it, but it will get the job done, and you'll learn how to build the strength that's necessary for doing Komodo Dragon like this. Great. Before this, Al could hardly move. So there's your Komodo Dragon. This technique is called Kung Fu stretches. Alan's going to step into a straddle stance facing camera. Good. Now from here, Al's going to basically, let's go begin shifting side to side, just give him the idea of how this works. So you notice one thing that's really important is that he keeps his pelvis completely on track the whole time. So he's not bobbing up and down. Let's show him what that would look like. If he bobbed, he comes up, he sinks down. He comes up, he sinks down. In this case, he's moving across like he's on a track, keeping it really low, working into those hips. Okay, now, notice that the feet rotate just a little bit back and forth. Totally fine. Don't worry about that. There's a little rotation happening there when he moves away from a leg. It's natural that the heel will push away. Now, he's going to lift his hands off of the ground. Let's get that torso up. Now he's going to start moving. Now you notice that the leg that's extended away, the hand reaches down the leg. Starting good. So he's starting to add his blocks in now. Now let's look at these blocks. So this is called a cross block. Noticing that, let's come to that trend right there. So he takes this hand down. This is a cross block. So he's in a guarded position. As this hand works its way to the sky, scoops up this hand. Notice the scooping of the palms. So my friend Jaco says scooping the bowl. Scooping the bowl here. Good. So as you scoop the bowl on either side, good. Now notice this hand is directly over the head so that he can block, which is what that's for. Here, okay? This hand is to block a kick. So let's come back to me again. And as I go to front kick, boom, that's what happens. Again, boom. It's a very simple technique. One more time. Boom. Okay, so this is a very fun way to start adding blocks into your movement. Back and forth, back and forth. Now, with this block, you want to look to block with that heel or palm of the hand, right around where that little bone is there. That's really strong, can make strong contact and break things. Let's add one more detail in here, the feet. As he's shifting back, let's try not to let that foot roll up. Let it roll up for a second. Not good on the knees, okay? There's no stability there. Make sure you're driving the edge of that foot into the mat and staying super strong here. Firming these thighs and really staying active through the movement so you're not putting unnecessary pressure on your joints. And there's your Kung Fu stretches. This technique is called leaping leopard. Alan's going to begin in a low lunge position with his feet very near each other. So basically, he's somewhat in a squatting frog, if you will. But here's the key thing. He really wants to have some stability here. So if he's too, if he's sinking into a stretch, he's not going to be able to leap. So he needs to be able to, move about in this, if you will, move around. Exactly. Good. So that's really a good way to establish this posture. Is can you move in it? That's very important. Now from here, he's going to literally leap straight up into the air. He's going to lengthen everything out, and he's going to land as softly as he can. Other side facing forward. Go ahead out. Nice. Good. And again, notice how he lengthens out on each jump. He's lengthening, fully plyometric. Good. And one more time. Nice. Good. He's landing very softly. He's using his hands to come down if he needs to, because we really have 4 base points to use. So we don't want to just use our feet. We can use our hands as well. So this is a great exercise to play with in terms of building explosive strength in the legs and learning how to, again, come down very softly, very ninja style. And there's your leaping leopard. This technique is called lion pose. Alan's going to come into a 4-point base. He's going to spread the hands a little bit wider than his shoulders width distance. He's going to take the feet a little bit wider than the hands. He's going to sink that pelvis down a bit, lift that torso up a bit, looking forward. This is a position that he should be able to move around in, clockwise and counterclockwise. Move around a little bit in and out. Good. Good. Now move a little quicker. Swing around. Shoot around. Good. Shoot back around. Nice. There we go. So let's face the camera again now. Good. So he comes here. Now, from here, I want him to be able to swing, stay in position, hold ground, move counterclockwise. Good. Move around. Shifting over the shoulders. Good. Really working the strength here in the joints. Holding. Let's take it the other way. Good. Really building some strength here, and you can see he's very animal. Body's really moving in a very animalistic way in the sense of that it's very organized, it's rolling, it's not rigid, and that's very important in this technique. Good. Rest your knees onto the floor. Good. That's lion pose. This technique is called a lunge punch. Now let's go ahead and start in a furudachi or immovable stance, fighting stance, either way you want to refer to it. This is the reason we call this immovable stance or fighting stance is because the ability for you to be in a strong position is here the whole time. So if I push back, he can move and stay in the stance. Everybody's movable. The stance is immovable. So if I push him, he's got good position. Okay, good. So from this immovable stance, he's going to, basically, the lunge punch emulates during combat that someone has been swept to the ground, as an example, and you're finishing from a standing position. Good. Now, basically what's important is that he drops this knee down because it's very much like a lunge. He doesn't touch the floor with it. He just drops it towards the floor. Boom. And he makes contact. So he's really punching between the front foot and the back foot. Front foot and the back foot. Again, show that good. Because in a real fighting situation, we don't have time to go and punch at people. So we really literally have to drop down and fire that punch. Noticing that rotation of the back heel that also happens. Do it one more time now. Good, so the back heel comes off of the floor. Good. Good, and he drives. He also sinks his entire body down into the punch. So if he punches without dropping his knees and his weight, does it with his back, he really risks injury in the lower back. So he wants to, again, drop everything down into a lunge position. Good, Al. There's your lunge punch. This technique is called playing monkey. Alan's going to come into that fighting monkey position. Well, basically, you're going to start in downward facing lion. So from downward facing lion, let's go ahead and face camera for this one now. Good. So go ahead and let's get it into a simple fighting monkey position. Good. Swinging it to the other side. Good. Now from here, Alan's going to thread the back foot through. Notice he kept the pelvis turned and he kept the foot flexed and turned sideways. He did not try, come back and let's do it the wrong way so they can see what they don't want to do. Don't try to sit that foot through with the toes face up to the sky. If you've got any range of motion issues, this is going to be tough to do, trying to bring that knee into the chest. So he wants to turn his pelvis open, basically tucking his knee. Take it right there, one more time, slow motion. That tuck right there is very important. Yes, sir. Good, as he slips that foot through. Now, he's going to roll over to the ball of this foot and step this right foot back. Good. He's going to thread the right foot through, roll over, grab the ground, push back. Slip the left foot through, roll over, grab the ground, push back. One more time. Good. Now let me show you practical application here. I've got his leg. He goes ahead and escapes that hold, rolling over, facing me. Let's do it one more time. So I grab his leg, he pulls, he turns, he's facing me. Well done, Al. And there's your playing monkey. This technique is called rolling knee. Emily, let's go ahead and begin in a downward facing dog position. So as you can see, Emily sets her downward facing, come back in, that's good. You see how she sets up her downward facing dog? She comes into a nice clean plank, checks, see if her shoulder heads are over her wrists. And she's not again sagging in the pelvis or pushing up with the pelvis. She's nice and neutral here, very strong. A lot of energy happening in the belly and whatnot. So now she presses back to downward facing dog. She finds that proper alignment. And if you're looking for good alignment on your downward facing dog as well, is you can draw a fist distance between the heels. Gives you a good idea of what your alignment is with your hips. Because ladies, your hips are not out here. A lot of times I get women in my class and they love to step their feet this wide when I say hips width distance. So the good news is that your hips are actually only as wide as your fist. Good. So let's go ahead. Bring the feet together. So the first position in this technique is feet together. Then the right leg is going to extend to the sky. Good. Now what we're noticing here is that clean alignment that she has going through here. So it's really nice and clean there. So there's no soft, put a soft bend there. This isn't really happening. If she softens up here, she's not going to get the kind of energy that she needs to push back in this direction and keep the energy pushing at the floor as well. So she's really creating two lines. She's pushing against the sky, if you will, and against the earth. Two different directions. Good. Now from here, she's going to rise up on the back foot. She's going to begin rolling wave motion. So she's going to rolling the spine in as she draws the knee in simultaneously. Again, rounding that spine more and more and more, pushing that ground away. Nice cobra hood happening here. Lots of stability, very strong position. Shoulder heads right over the wrist, and she's going to take the leg back to the sky. Good, and back to a very clean, neutral position on the hip. You notice the hip's very neutral. We don't want to cock it open. This is a habit that a lot of people get into because they've got this range and it feels good. So what people want to do is overexploit areas where they have hyperflexibility. So what we're looking for is not to do that in this particular case. So if she was a dancer and she had really open hips, she doesn't want to keep exploiting that because she doesn't learn to build any strength in that neutral position. And that's what we're really looking for out of this practice. So let's do it one more time. Okay, left side. She's going to rise up on the foot. She's going to activate the belly, start rolling forward, spreads the cobra hood. Now notice this foot in a clean demi point the entire time to keep that energy happening. So this foot never comes out of that demi point. She takes it back to position. And again, it remains clean and demi pointed. Demi point, again, would not be a flex position. It would be extended foot, toes drawn back, revealing that metatarsal. Beautiful. Let's go ahead and rest. And there's your rolling knee. This technique is called rolling lunge. Emily's going to begin in a downward facing dog. If you'll notice, she first comes into a plank again to always set this technique up properly. She's going to press herself back now to downward facing dog. It's going to be our first position to start from. You notice that her fingers are spread wide as well, fanned open. She's really gripping the floor with the fingers, using the hands to root herself to the ground. Arms long, shoulder heads rotating open, working down the back, spine nice and long, pelvis neutral. Now from here, she's going to bring her feet together. Take her left leg to the sky. She immediately demi points that foot. Let's do that one more time for them. Watch how this foot, as soon as it lifts off of the floor, yes, translates into a demi point. Fantastic. That's really good footwork, because in martial arts we have several foot positions. Bear with me, Emily. We've got a flexed foot. We've got a demi point, we've got a full point, we've got a flexed foot with an edge for a side kick, we've got a back kick. So we've got several positions, so you really need to work to articulate all of these positions with the feet. So she's going to first rise up on the ball of that foot. She's going to activate that belly and start drawing that knee forward as she rolls forward. Now notice the tilting open of the knee. So she wants to keep her pelvis in a neutral rotation all the while she's tilting this knee open, as opposed to what she was doing in rolling knee, where she brought the knee in forward. In rolling lunge, you tilt the knee open to get a little opening happening there through the pelvis. Now what she wants to do here is continue that forward roll. Knee comes to the shoulder. She's in there cobra hood, nice and strong. She releases that foot to the floor very calmly. She lowers the pelvis down, gets a counter stretch here through the thoracic, lets the pelvis again work its way down, lifts through the heart, doesn't put any strain on the neck, stays long here, but doesn't go back like this. Wouldn't be good for your neck. So you want to stay long here, shoulder heads drawing back. Let's take it back in the other direction. Chin comes to chest, up. Slow down, grasshopper. Chin to chest. First, activate here first. Push all the way up. Cobra hood first. She creates space. Then she chambers this leg. Then she takes this leg back to the sky. Good. And she gets that nice extension again, and she's back to first position. Leg slowly works its way down to the floor, back to position, and there you have rolling lunge. This technique is rolling vinyasa. We're going to begin in downward facing dog. Good. This technique is very similar to our rolling wave. Same technology applies. He's going to rise up, heels off of the floor. He's going to activate the belly. He's going to roll vertebra to vertebra to vertebra forward, coming into his cobra hood. As the only difference here, in rolling wave he would stop. But in rolling vinyasa, he's actually going to shift forward about 2 inches so that as he lowers down into a chaturanga, he's at a nice 90-degree angle, elbows directly over the wrists. Keeps everything nice and flat and strong here, gazing forward softly. Good. And from here, he's going to flatten out his feet one at a time. He's going to lift the upper torso, coming into a traditional hatha upward-facing dog. Now from here, again, he's lengthening through the middle spine. Shoulder heads drawing back and down. Notice that the knees are off of the floor there. And let's keep his energy on the big top of the big toe joint, pinky toe joint. Good. Working back. Now from here, to return, he's going to bring his chin to chest. He's going to cobra hood that back. He's going to naturally just rise up, rolling back over the toes onto the balls of the feet one at a time, reestablishing his position in downward facing dog. There's your rolling vinyasa. This technique is rolling wave. Now let's step ourselves into a plank position. Plank is going to set up our foundation so that we can move back into downward facing dog, which is the position that rolling wave is executed out of. So plank position, we have to have a lot of strength here in the shoulder area. If he collapses in, no good. He's got to push through here. Strong, very sturdy foundation. The pelvis is, again, also in a neutral rotation. It's not sagging. It's not overextended. Good. So his energy lines are working. Crown of the head this direction, heels that direction. That's what creates all the stability there. Great. Now his shoulder heads are over his wrists again, just so we're clear there, so that if he's too far forward, again, you see how that causes the belly to collapse in. So he's got to stay right there to be in a good alignment. Okay, now he's going to press back, downward facing dog. Good. From here, fingertips spread, or fingers spread, fingertips really engaged working the floor. So if I grab his fingertips, really tough because he's rooted in. So his forearms are rotating in, his triceps and whatnot rotating open, shoulder heads rotating open away from the ears, triceps working down the back, spine is nice and long, belly is, firm, engaged, neck again is soft. He's just gazing back towards his feet or his belly. From here, the pelvis being in a neutral rotation, the legs are strong and they're as straight as possible. It's all up to an individual's range of motion. If Al didn't have, lengthened, flexible hamstrings, he could softly bend his knees, sink down, just keep that spine nice and long, and that'd be perfectly fine. So if you've got that range of motion, feel free to, bend your knees and get comfortable. Since Al's nice and flexible, straighten those legs out, work those heels towards the floor. Now from here, he's going to rise up, starting on the balls of the feet. We're going to work our way up here to the pelvis because we're going to see in this lower back the first action that happens as the belly engages. The lower spine starts to round. Rolling ourselves forward, vertebra to vertebra to vertebra. Starts to spread this back open. Nice, pushing up, hold, cobra hood. Very powerful position. Lats are engaged. Everything, pecs, shoulder area, the whole shoulder girdle is activated here. This is a very strong position. He can hold me physically, my whole body up here. So he's got a lot of energy, and the belly, everything's drawing up. Now from here, now that his shoulder heads are over his wrists, he can start to let that pelvis lower towards the floor. As he lengthens and lifts up through the thoracic spine, shoulder heads working back, down. Good. Doesn't matter if he's looking up or if he's looking forward, as long as he doesn't crunch up here in his neck. So if he can gaze forward, if he can gaze up and keep space here, he's totally fine. So now, to start the reverse of this technique, he's going to bring his chin to his chest. He's going to push into my finger and activate that cobra hood here first. Hold, good. And keep working your way back, vertebra to vertebra to vertebra. Belly's lifting him up all the way back into position. Heels work towards the floor. And there you have rolling wave.